Good morning, friends. It's Amanda here at Gardening Suburbia, and I am getting ready to pot a whole bunch of stuff. I need to grab everything, and I'm gonna go ahead and actually head into my garage, just because it is quite warm today. It's super overcast, which is fine. If it starts raining, I'll be in my garage, but I have a bunch of things that need uppotted. All of those tomato plants really need to be in bigger pots. Fresh soil, because they're lacking quite a bit of nutrients because they're getting purpling under their leaves, and some of their leaves are turning yellow, which is super disheartening because past 2-3 years my tomatoes have been really good. This year they're not. We'll see if we can salvage them. Hopefully we can, because I've got like 20 some varieties of tomatoes that I planted. But let's go ahead and get everything packed up and head to the garage. If you live in the Cincinnati area, I was going ahead and doing a whole bunch of research on a couple different soil companies here in the area. So I got Bazax, Jay's Mulch and Landscape Supply, and then Hafner and Sons. This is basically pricing. Some of them are based on, I need 2 yards of soil / compost. I was going to have it delivered, so some of the, or I think all of these actually do delivery. Luckily for me, my brother-in-law, my sister, they just got a new truck literally last night, and so I'll be able to have them deliver the soil / compost that I need, which is very helpful because it keeps the cost down just a little bit. Maybe I can get a little bit better quality because I won't have to be paying for such a high delivery fee. All right, so this is my garage. It's kind of a storage shed right now. I actually got a bunch of these old windows. They're single pane windows. Got them for free from a house that my parents had bought for like college kids. And we recently just sold that house, and in doing so, they replaced all of the old windows. And so instead of putting them in the garbage, I decided to take them because honestly, if you went to a resale shop or anything, single pane glass windows would be like $10 a pop or something. And I've got like 30 odd windows. So even though I'm in a rental property, my eyes are set on the future, and the future is a couple acres where I can potentially build my own greenhouse. Whether these windows will work or not, we'll find out. I may end up using them for cold frames. Could end up doing that here soon, just for a few of them on the garlic bed that I built. But we'll see. So anyway, this is my garage. We're gonna go ahead and get set up so that I can do a mixture of some compost that I got, as well as putting that with the Miracle-Gro potting mix, just to give those tomatoes a better chance of popping back to life. So let me get all organized here, and then I will be back. So welcome to the other side of my garage. I'm gonna grab a bag of my compost and manure. It is the Garden Magic. I found it while I was at Funky's. It was a pretty good price, and actually when I was doing reviews or reading reviews on this product, a lot of people said it was really good. When I went to Funky's, they had a bag open, and it had a really nice consistency. It was very, very loamy, but I'll grab it and I'll show you guys. Okay, so one of the garden tests is to figure out the consistency of your soil. So the first test is to see what kind of soil you have. So you wanna go ahead and put it in a ball. If you were to poke it, does it fall apart easily? If you pack it real tight and then let go, it falls apart. You have a really sandy mixture. When you poke it, give it a light poke, and it does fall apart like that, that's a really good loamy soil. It means it can keep moisture, but it is also high in nutrients. If you were to pack it real tight and then poke it and it doesn't fall apart at all, that means you have a really high clay consistency. So this stuff, honestly, it gives me, I like the texture of it. There's not too many large, really there's not any large bits and pieces in this. And it has really good color. as well as it kind of seems like worm castings. Here, let me grab some worm castings. So this is something that I love spreading on pretty much all of my stuff in the spring. And when I'm getting ready to plant, I'll go a light layer while mixing up the soil. But it has a really loose, super dark color. So, I don't know if you guys can tell, the compost is a little more brown, while the worm castings is a lot darker and it does not hold its shape. It's really just used for an amendment. And you can make teas out of it, which is basically letting the worm castings steep in water for a couple days, and then spraying that mixture onto any of your plants. But it has higher nitrogen. It's got about a 1.25% nitrogen, and then 1% of calcium. Honestly, in the future, it'd be really awesome to actually have worms here on my homestead. It's weird to call it a homestead, but it is. So having worms would be great. I do have a super low maintenance compost pot. It's literally a bin that I throw all of my food waste in. So cut tops of carrots if I'm not going to use it for broths, food scraps, whatnot, into a bin, and it sits outside. And then about in the fall, I will go ahead and put that on my beds. And then when I was sticking around, I did put some worms in it. I don't know if that does anything. I'm not a professional worm farmer, so I just buy this stuff. My bucket here, I'm gonna go ahead and mix up my soil mixture. I'm going to do, I think about, I'm gonna fill the bucket half with the Miracle-Gro, and then I'll put in a couple healthy scoops, like hand scoops of this compost. This is just the moisture control potting mix that Miracle-Gro makes. Okay, and then I'm going to add a couple handfuls of this compost. It's so good. I'm so excited. This season is going to be so incredible. I'm so excited to have so much more growing space, because right now I have 4 beds, my long beds. They are about 8 feet by 4 feet. Just about all of them are about that size. And I'm just very excited to have so much more space with those fabric raised beds. They're not my first choice. They are really inexpensive, which is a great option if you're just trying to get your feet wet and get into it. And they're not permanent. So that's the main reason why I picked those, just because I don't want to be digging up anymore in my rental ground. And so by having a raised bed that is removable and doesn't really affect the land, because I'll be putting it on concrete, it's a good option. Yeah, this feels good. I'm gonna add, I think, 2 more scoops of this compost. Just, you have to remember when you're doing raised beds or any of your garden beds, if you're adding new beds, you have to remember that the most expensive part is going to be the soil. If you're able to, buying in bulk is a way better option, just because it's going to be cheaper. You're going to be using or having less plastic. Luckily, I was able to get the help of my brother-in-law and my sister. Their help makes it a lot easier and a lot cheaper just because I won't have to pay a delivery fee. I probably still will be doing something nice for them, just because they're always just so kind. Got our soil in here. Our next task is determine what we are up potting first. I only have these Bootstrap Farmer 2x2 pots left. I am so excited to have something that's going to last for so long. I still am going to be using or recycling pots that I've gotten from greenhouses in the past. I think this Thursday and Friday is going to be the lowest low temps here in Cincinnati for the next foreseeable future. Getting down to like 36 degrees Fahrenheit at night, which not quite freezing, but it's still pretty cold in comparison to all the other nights where it's going to be in the 40s and even up into the 50s at night, which is fantastic. I might be able to plant my tomatoes out a week sooner. When I was looking at my forecasting system on my phone, you can see a month in advance for the highs and the lows, and it looks like the week before Mother's Day, it's going to be in the 50s for that entire week before Mother's Day. So I might be able to plant out my tomatoes. I might be able to plant a few tomatoes out before then. I might be risky. I don't know. We'll see. All right. I am actually going to water my soil first. I almost always forget this every time. This time I'm not gonna forget. So I'm gonna go ahead and go to my water spigot and fill this. I wanna get it moist enough that when I squeeze it, the soil will stick together, but dry enough that when I pick it up and squeeze it, there's no water seeping out of it. I could go ahead and water this after. Just because the seedlings are not seeds anymore, they're plants. I'm gonna water them after, for the sheer fact that I have to then carry all of these back up into my second story grow room, and carrying them with water weight is gonna be a lot heavier. So I'm gonna water after this time. I'm gonna opt for it. I'm not gonna forget. I'm gonna choose not to. Okay. So we're going to start with, I'm going to start with my artichoke. He's looking really, really rough. He's getting knocked around and breaking leaves. I'm going to just trim this leaf off. I probably could have used pruners, made it easier cut, but that's okay. He has a bunch of new leaves growing in this center portion here. And he needs to go into a bigger pot. I think it's time. So we're gonna get him situated first. I'm gonna opt for this guy because this has a deeper system and it's about an inch bigger than his previous container. I'm gonna put some soil in here. And then I'm going to very easily squeeze this pot and try to get him to come out without breaking him, which seems to be the hardest part about these pots. I don't know if I just haven't gotten the technique yet, because I've been growing him for about 12 weeks now. 10, 8, I don't even know. Yeah. You can see he kind of was getting a little, the start of being root bound. His roots are still really nice and happy. They are white. If your roots on the bottom are brown or black, that's root rot. That means that your soil is too wet, and you're gonna wanna go ahead and hold off from watering so much. But I'm gonna get him in here. Hopefully he will be happy to be in a new container with fresh soil. I'm gonna go ahead and backfill him and then press it down just a little bit so he has some kind of support try to be really gentle of his roots. I've never actually up-potted a artichoke before. This is the first artichoke I've ever actually grown, nor have planted, either or. So this may not be what you're supposed to do. I don't know. But this is my artichoke. He is now up-potted. I'm gonna add his label back in there, but I don't think I'm gonna get him confused with anybody. He is one of a kind. All right, so Artie is nice and Artie. I literally just said I wasn't gonna name him. My artichoke is good, so. So the next task is, I'm gonna do this little 6 cell of, this is a random assortment of medicinal herbs, tomatoes, and another medicinal herb, gobo burdock. So I'm gonna get them up potted because they definitely need it. That is a worm. What is that? Okay. Yeah, so we're gonna start with this one, just because after that it'll just be a run to the races. I'm gonna start with the tomatoes. And as you can see, they are nice and happy with all the roots. And this is my Artisan Tiger Stripes, the blush. And I'm just gonna be kind of, try to be careful not to break too many of the roots. But it probably would have been a little easier had I not just watered these guys. But even if you break a lot of these guys' roots, they will regrow their roots along the stem if you plant them deeply. So I'm gonna make a nice big hole. Actually, I'm gonna make it deeper. And then I'm gonna plant this pretty deep up until like that first set of leaves and just backfill. I'm going to keep all of this variety of tomato just because this is the one variety of tomato that looks like it's doing the best out of all of my tomatoes. And I really think that's because of the soil that I used when I started them, but we'll see. And I will need to make sure to make labels for all of these because I have so many different varieties that I did start. I want to make sure that I know which ones they are. Unless you want it to be a surprise, then you cannot label, or, you know, you'll find out when they start producing the tomatoes. You'll be able to recognize them or cross-examine them towards the seed packets. All right, and just like that, we got 3 tomatoes potted up. We need to label them though. I'd like to label them. And I'm just going to put Artisan Tiger blush on these. Labeled all nice and neat in new pots. They're gonna be happy right now. These ones are the only ones that do not have a yellowing to leaves, which would be a nitrogen deficiency, but they do have a slight purpling, which is not genetics. That is a phosphorus deficiency. Sorry about that. A phosphorus deficiency. So hopefully by putting it in this new soil, they will get the nutrients that they need. So the next one I'm gonna do is the gobo burdock, which is the medicinal herb. I am not going to separate this guy. I am just going to put him fully as is in a fresh pot. Again, he was ready for sure to be put into a new pot. As you can see, those roots are fully circling the bottom. All right, friends, so we are on the last of the tomatoes that need uppotted. I have my Amish paste tomatoes are the very last tomato that need to be uppotted. And I'm so excited to be almost finished. We are one more step towards getting our garden in the ground, which is insane to think about. I've been seeing so many bees flying around, and my tulips look so good. I have a bunch of my brassicas and lettuces sitting out in the sun. I'm probably gonna be planting a good majority of those in the ground either today or tomorrow. I need to check on some of them, but I think we're almost done. We're so much closer to midsummer madness / magic of the beautiful overgrown garden. I'm excited to get those fabric garden beds up and get some soil in them, and I really hope I can get my hands on some cattle panel trellises, just because I think that'll be just one more freaking magical thing to add to the garden. And I'm so excited for this season. Truly has been a season of growth for me, and just being able to share my life with you guys, being open and trying not to be so shy. So I'm going to go ahead and get these guys in some soil, well, fresh soil, and hopefully these guys will bounce back. I really have no idea what to expect. Again, I may need to buy starts from a local nursery or see if my sister has any spare tomatoes if these guys do not pull through. But I'm really hoping that they will. So even if all of these roots were to come off, these guys would still be able to reroot through their stems. These little fuzzy bits, they're not actually roots. This is just like a defense of the tomato that basically allows it to protect itself. But if the stem is exposed to soil or water, it will grow roots. But the little fuzzy feature is not actually mini roots, because you can see it all over the leaves as well. So I like to just take these seedlings and twirl them till the roots get down to the bottom, give them a little helping hand if they need to, and then close the soil in around and just kind of keep doing it. So I am just picking some of the better seedlings from the bunch. So the ones that either have leaf curl or just look a little worse off, I will go ahead and just compost. And then those that look a little better, I will make sure to uppot. Which, if I didn't overseed, I probably wouldn't have to go through the pains of pinching or deciding which ones were gonna be the ones that grow. But I planted way too many because I got really excited and kind of nervous that they weren't gonna grow, and I think that's just because I am sharing my process. I think if I weren't sharing, I probably wouldn't have seeded so much, but I am still sharing them, the plants. Just, you know, I'm also sharing with you guys in the process of how I plant and all of that. So I think I'm gonna toss this guy. And I'm going ahead and planting them as deep as this little pot will let me, simply because they will grow roots along that stem. Plus it'll give me a little more time so I don't have to uppot them again. I'd rather not uppot these again, which is why I had started them so late, but then that soil or whatever happened that made them turn purple and yellow really stunted them. I think that this new soil is going to help bring them back, hopefully, fingers crossed. And you know, this is one of those things that comes along with gardening. There are things that you can never expect to happen that will happen. So I like to kind of get a handful of soil and then do this little number. This allows this side to get full, and so I can backfill those seedlings. And then I just kind of move the seedlings around so that I can get them centered or facing directly upright. And I push down just a little bit so they get good contact with that soil. All right, and that is my Amish paste tomatoes. And there we have it, guys. Our last batch of tomatoes has been uppotted, and I'm so excited. I can't tell you guys how excited I am, how much I love gardening, how much I like to design all the plants and the spots that they'll go, the colors that mash together, the types of textures on the leaves. Like I love it all. It's art in its own way. It really is. So guys, thank you so much for joining me. It's really been a year of growth, and I hope you guys will continue to grow with me. If you guys enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, and I will go ahead and put a video here for you to enjoy until my next upload. But until then, guys, thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you in the next one.